okay with this? Meeting will now come to order. Please turn your cell phones off or put them on vibrate. We'll now call the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Chairman, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have roll call.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Seat A, Chuck Shermy.
Here.
Seat B, Perry Gisclair, here. Seat C, Jimmy Lafourche, here. Seat D, Rodney Gisclair. Here. Seat E, Curtis Pierce. Here. Seat F, Larry Griffin, absent. Seat G, John Mellison.
Here.
Seat H, Mike Calais. Here. Seat I, Chris Calais.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Gisclair. Next, we have approved minutes for May 2019 regular meeting.
I'd like to move.
Move by Mr. Millison, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Next, we have Executive Director's Report. Mr. Chasson.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we have our Northern Expansion projects. Northern Expansion Slip C, 400-foot East Part 2 bulkhead. PCL and Associates. Joe.
Yes, this is a continuation of the last project. We had some state funds left over, so we extended the project further. We accepted bids on May the 9th at 2 p.m. Sea Level Construction was the low bidder for the base bid in the amount of $2,585,603, and we do recommend you approve that bid. We did have an alternate bid for some longer sheets for greater depths, and with the administration, we decided not to go forward with the alternate at this time.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And the Minor Sheremy Senior Road Paving. Angelette Piciola. Mr. Larry.
Yes, Byron E. Talbot is the contractor on this project. They're working right now. They have approximately stoned about 1,000 feet of the new road at the end. They're getting ready to install probably tomorrow or the next day the cross culvert, and they'll continue with the stone. They're moving along pretty well. They got a lot of ditching done in that section.
All right. And that project is a capital outlay. We received some capital outlay funding. We have about $1.7 million coming from the state in capital outlay, and what is it? A little over $2 million project.
Yeah.
So the difference is what the Port Commission's match is.
And what do you think their time of completion is for this project?
He had 120 days, and he started on Monday a couple of weeks ago. So he probably has about 10 weeks left.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Larry. All right, moving on to airport projects. Aircraft operations, Davey. You know.
Yes, aircraft operations for the month of May were operations of 2,593 operations, passengers 11,481, and vehicles 16,633. So the airport is still staying pretty busy. The next project, airfield drainage improvements, the plans design group has that project out for bid. It's going to bid June 27th, and that project we were awarded $243,000 from FAA grant, non-primary entitlement funds. So we did have funding on that drainage project as well. Yep. The next project is a runway approach easement, and I'll defer that one to Bryce.
We're waiting to get feedback from the Island Land Company to our documents that we provided for their review. Yesterday we sent the exhibits for the lease area. So now that the session is out, I would anticipate sending the Island would review these and get back to us soon.
Yeah, if we don't hear from him by the end of the week, on Monday, I'll get with them and see if they want to schedule a meeting or whatever. So we'll move forward with that. That's it, Bryce? Get on that? Okay, and then the airport road culvert improvements, PCL and Associates.
The contractor is Byron Talbot. The project has been complete. We are and the lien period expires at the end of this week, so we won't have a clear lien certificate and final payment due until next month.
Yeah. And that was a total of a $477,000 project, and we had $132,000 from DOTD aviation funds. All right. Okay, other projects, the South Lafourche Levee District, LA1 realignment and flood wall project, PCO and Associates. Joe.
Yeah, this is a levee district project. Byron Talbot's the contractor. They just poured the concrete base last week for the gate. So they're working on forming up, and they'll be pouring again probably next week for the walls to support the gate structure, hinge structure itself. And then they'll continue making pours. They are behind schedule. They were scheduled to be done mid-July, but we're looking sometime mid-August for them to be complete.
Okay. And we're anticipating between now, maybe in July, that there would be a one-way traffic period?
There's going to be some intermittent times when they make the tie-ins for the asphalt. So they'll do all the asphalt road work, and then they'll make the tie-ins at the last minute and then switch the traffic over.
Okay.
But that's only going to be for a couple of days when they're going to be doing the tie-ins that it'll affect the traffic. But
Okay,
we'll have advance notice and we'll notify the public before we do that.
Good.
But that's probably going to be sometime in early August.
Early August. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, the Section 203 feasibility study, GIS engineering. John, you have a brief update?
We are preparing our comments in reply to the Corps' comments on our comments on their comments to the original submitted report. We expect to have that done in the next couple of weeks. We're scheduling a meeting to fly up to Washington to meet with them. I believe, Chet, you're coming as well.
Yes, July 1st. Yep.
Basically, we had certain dredge elevations we were looking at. They wanted to see one additional dredge elevation is the main comment they've had, but they had some other ones as well.
Doing some more economic reviews that they want to see. So we're trying to do everything the way they want to see it. So they're telling us how they want to see it. We're going to produce that and give it to them. Even though it's our report, and they always say it's our report, for them to approve it, they want to see it the way they'd like to see it. So that's what we're doing.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, our CCTV, slip, B camera, and equipment. April.
All right. The last site is scheduled for June 24th. We'll be finishing up that project. The Bell Pass structure and CCTV renovation project, the structural analysis and mapping of the platform and tower is in progress. That's going to tell us what size tower can go back on that platform. And then an update on the port security grant application for 2019. We applied for $1,001,561. That's $751,000 in federal and $250,000 in GLPC funds. We applied for 5 projects. One is to sustain and maintain our security systems. One is to upgrade our risk mitigation plan for security purposes in 2020. The other is to upgrade our access control system. Install 2 automatic license plate readers in the beginning of Port Fourchon LA 3090. It ties into a bigger system in the parish. And then a cybersecurity intelligence information sharing and network monitoring project.
Okay. Any questions for April? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to the update from the LA1 Coalition. Henri, I would assume you have a lot to talk about.
I'll try to be brief. As all of you know, the state legislature just passed the most significant infrastructure spending bill this state has had in many, many years. Infrastructure supporters from around the state are waiting for the governor to sign this bill into law any day. House Bill 578 rededicates BP economic damage monies the state will receive over the next 13 years to several large bridge and highway projects, including Phase 2 of the LA1 project from Golden Meta to Leeville. Upon the governor signing this bill, over $670 million will be invested in infrastructure statewide. And these funds do not take away from the BP coastal monies scheduled to benefit many coastal projects in our region. Relative to LA1, this funding in this bill provides about 45% of the funding needed to construct the 8 miles from Golden Meadow to Golden Meadow to Leeville. The coalition's focus now shifts to amassing the remaining 55% of the Phase 2 construction costs. We will be working closely with our state and federal delegation in Washington in hopes of securing federal matching monies. The LA1 Coalition wishes to thank our entire Bayou Region State Legislative Delegation for working hard in Baton Rouge to generate support for this bill. We send an additional thank you to Representative Tanner McGee of Houma for carrying the bill through the House of Representatives, and Representative Just Claire and Zarang for supportive statements during an intense House debate on the bill. We thank our state senator, Norby Chabert, for protecting the critical funds for LA1 during the Senate Finance Committee negotiations. And it is appropriate for us to thank Senator Ward, Senator Lafourche, and Senator Cortez for negotiating all of our state's regions' requests to get some of these funds as well. I would also like to thank the LA1 Coalition Executive Committee under Chet's leadership for allowing the coalition to play a role which provided the bill significant lobbying and social media support. This was something new that we tried, and it was very successful. And lastly, I want to thank all the citizens of the area who sent in over 21,000 advocacy emails to legislators and voiced their opinion in support of this bill and made a difference for our community's future. Any questions?
Anyone has any questions?
All I want to say one thing, I want to thank Henri for a job well done.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Henri. Thank you. Okay, before we move on to public comment, my privilege to announce our newest employee to the Port Commission. Mr. Michael Kindler is here. He starts as the new Chief of Harbor Police on Monday, the 17th. Thank you, Michael, for being here. Thank you for bringing us in, coming in, and we're going to move forward. And I'm excited about what the future brings for the organization. We now have our full team. For a little while, we had no airport manager or director and no chief. So we were kind of putting along. So now we have our full team in place, and really looking forward to moving forward and having a great many years to come. Thank you, Mike, for being here.
Congratulations, Mike. Thank you for being on the team.
Welcome aboard, Mike.
Welcome aboard.
Okay.
Okay, and I guess the last on my report is public comment. Any
Do we have
public
any
comment?
public comment? All right, moving on. Committees. First, we have Executive Committee. Members are Chucky Sherman, Chairman, Rodney Gisclair, Perry Gisclair, and John Mellison. First, we have consider approving the request from Piranha Properties for a landlord's release and consent for site GLF 202-1. Okay, I need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Perry Gisclair, second by Mr. Chris Gisclair. Discussion. Colley. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Chris Colley.
Three just grabbed.
Any discussion?
Have a quorum in.
Have any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion pass. Next, we have consider approving the request from Lafourche Parish Drainage District to extend office space lease at the Port Complex.
Okay, so Drainage District's been leasing that from us for several years now, and their lease is coming up. Recommendation to approve their lease.
Need a motion. Moved by Mr. Curtis Pierce, second by Jimmy Lafone. Not getting the last name mixed up is fine. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we have consider approving the request from the Ambulance Service District to extend office space lease at the EOC.
Okay, so as you all are aware, the Lafourche Ambulance District, since we opened the EOC, has been housed at the EOC and having 24/7 operations in Port Fourchon, which is a really good service for our community and for the port. And they want to have another 5-year lease on that area, so recommendation to approve.
They need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Mike Cully, second by Mr. Rodney Jusclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we have consider approving the request from Express Supply and Steel to lease site GLF 205.
Okay, site GLF 205 is immediately adjacent to the north of the current Express Supply and Steel lease. Recommendation to approve.
Okay, need a motion. Moved by Mr. Curtis Pierce, second by Mr. Chris Collier. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Next, consider adopting a resolution authorizing a grant application and matching funds for a land and water conservation program.
Okay, so this is funds that comes through Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and this is total of a $600,000 project that'll be done in our mitigation area for Slip D. That's right off of, I guess, starts at the corner of LA 3090 and Flotation Canal Road. It's a 50% grant, so they would cover $300,000 of the $600,000 project. That is going to be an excellent location for recreational activity, for K through 12 learning, for different types of plantings and that sort of thing, so we can really highlight the fact that Fourchon is a really good location for ecotourism. It's a good location to show how industry and the environment really do work together and can thrive together.
Okay.
Recommendation to approve this.
Okay, need a motion. Moved by Mr. Jimmy Lafone, second by Mr. Rodney Jusclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next, consider approving the cooperative endeavor agreement with the South Lafourche Levee District for cameras at floodgates.
Okay, so this is an agreement between the Port Commission and the Levee District to add 3 cameras into the system. 3 would be at the Rose Ted Jusclair floodgate, and then we're going to fix or replace some in the Golden Meadow Leontario lock structure as well. And it's basically an agreement that both entities will pay half of the cost to fully fund the project.
Okay, need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Melisson, second by Mr. Mike Collier. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That concludes our executive committee. Next, we have Permits and Waterways Committee. Chairman is Perry Jusclair, Curtis Pierce, Jimmy Lafone, and Chucky Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we have Marquee Resources LLC, unauthorized installation of 957 feet of 6-inch pipeline to replace an existing pipeline that could not be replaced. Approximately 1.1 acres of saline marsh were impacted. The need and plan for restoration and compensatory mitigation will be assessed prior to permit issuance. An administrative penalty may be issued for the unauthorized activity. And we have sent a letter of concern for the permit on behalf of the Port Commission.
Yes, sir, and if I could just
Yes,
add
go
to
ahead.
that, Mr. Chairman, so that was in the location of our mitigation area that we did for the LA1 project in Leeville. So I know Bryce sent an email to Ms. Larry Picciola this morning to make sure that everybody was on the same page and that Marquis would be held responsible for any issues with our mitigation area so that we continue to have our credits that we created in that mitigation location. So all of our bases are covered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelson. Next is Loop LLC, install new cathodic protection on the MOL and add a cathodic protection to brine line, Lafourche Parish, necessary to prevent corrosion and maintain the structural integrity of the pipeline. Next is Texas Petroleum Investment Company, proposed prop wash for access 3,347 feet of 2 4-inch flow lines and structures to drill the GMW CFL number 24, offsetting Golden Meadow Field, approximately 23,888.55 cubic yards of water bottom material would be disturbed by the prop washing for access, and another 1,594.54 by jetting for the flow lines. As much as 7.58 acres of estuarine water bottom habitat could be impacted by this project. And the Port Commission has also sent a letter with concern of prop washing in that amount. Number 4 is South Lafourche Levee District. Proposed construction of 55,450 linear feet of earthen protection levee along the alignment of Reach K and Reach L of the Merganza to Gulf levee system. The proposed levee system will have a base width of approximately 90 feet, and it will be constructed to a height of approximately +9. Existing water control structures along Grand Bayou Canal shall remain unmodified. However, 1 sector gate and 1 Tainer gate will be installed. In addition, 1 pump station will be removed and replaced. Approximately 30,000 cubic yards of topsoil will be hauled in, and 2,009,000 cubic yards of material will be excavated on site and used as fill to construct this levee system. This is a permit extension request. Next is number 5, and it's Allen Company, Golden Meadow LLC, Lafourche Parish, proposal to restore 2.28 acres of damaged salt marsh and install reef blocks for shoreline protection. Dredging for access will be required. Approximately 55,150 cubic yards of material will be excavated and placed on site. 14,283 cubic yards of material will be brought on site. Approximately 30 acres of open water, scrub, shrub, and salt marsh habitats may be impacted by the proposed project, and this is initiation extension letter. Next is geotechnical investigation for marsh creation feasibility. Lafourche Parish, Louisiana. Geotechnical attaches a copy of a permit application from the geotechnical investigation for marsh creation feasibility project in Lafourche Parish, as required by Louisiana's Office of Coastal Management and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers joint permit application process. Geoengineers will be conducting the geotechnical investigation, some of which will occur on or adjacent to property owned, administered by the Commission near Port Fourchon. Next is Texas Petroleum Investment Company, Lafourche Parish, proposed prop washing, 15,073 feet for access to drill the GMW Falgout prospect, installation of 1 4-inch flow line and 1 2-inch gas lift line, 3,303 feet to serve the proposed well. Upon successful completion of the well, a typical wellhead protector will be installed. Approximately 1,264 feet of flow line will be laid on top of natural ground, and the remaining 2,039 feet will be jetted in open waters. Approximately 35,215 cubic yards of native material will be displaced due to prop washing. Approximately 944 cubic yards of native material will be temporarily displaced by line jetting, and approximately 74 cubic yards of rock material will be used for bank stabilization. Approximately 0.10 acres of vegetative wetlands and approximately 25 .50 acres of water bottom may be impacted as a result of the proposed activity. And the port has also sent a letter objecting to prop washing in that area. And, Mr. President, do you have anything?
Nope, that's
Well,
it.
that concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gisclair. That concludes the permits and waterways. Next, we have the Construction and Development Committee. Larry Griffin, Chairman, Chris Colley, Jimmy Lafont, and Chucky Sherman. Mr. Griffin's not in, so Mr. Chris Colley will be taking over for him.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we have consider awarding the lowest responsive bid for Slip C 400 feet east, Part 2 bulkhead project.
Okay, as Joe Picciola stated earlier, the Sea Level Construction Incorporated was the low bidder. Recommendation to approve the base bid of $2,585,603, and make note that $2.3 million of that is funded by DOTD Port Priority Program.
Okay, I need a motion.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Chris Colley, seconded by Mr. Curtis Pierce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Next, we have consider adopting the DOTD resolution certifying compliance with public bid laws for Slip C 400 feet east, Part 2 bulkhead project.
As part of the DOTD Port Priority Program, we have to resolve that we complied with all public bid laws since they are funding a majority of that project. Recommendation to approve.
Okay, need a motion. Moved by Mr. Rodney Gisclair, seconded by Mr. Perry Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Mr. President, this concludes the Construction and Development Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Colley. Next, we go into Finance Committee. Finance Committee members are John Mellison Jr., Chairman, Rodney Gisclair, Mike Colley, and Chucky Sherman. Mr. Mellison, you up.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. President. We'll begin our report by considering approving the payments of the May 2019 invoices and recognizing those over $10,000. Item 1, Byron E. Talbot Contractors Incorporated, $95,710.59, and that's for the minor Sheremy Senior road paving, along with culvert replacement and pavement patching on the airport road. Item 2, GIS Engineering, LLC, $49,178.75, and that is for the 203 feasibility study, along with lease plats and general engineering. Item 3, Guardian Computer, LLC, $26,760.65, and that's for off-site backups and replication, along with configuration of new SAN and VM infrastructure upgrades. Item 4, Vision Communication, $25,758.59, and that is for phone, cable, and internet services. Item 5, Epic Aviation, $24,469.18, and that is for fuel that is sold at the airport. Item 6, Grand Isle Shipyard, $22,804.34, and that is for a contract at the FBO. Item 7, AAPA, $21,486 even, and that is for 2019 dues and event registrations. Item 8, American Integration Contractors, $20,788.44, and that is for CCTV maintenance and repairs. Item 9, Bank of America, $19,026.09, and that is for monthly credit card charges. Item 10, Royal Engineering and Consultants, LLC, $15,007.01, and that is for wetland delineation. That was a tough word for a Cajun. All right, that along with our other expenditures brings us to a total of $1,063,569.48, and I'd like to make a motion, we accept these expenditures, Mr. President.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Mellon, second from Mr. Mike Colley. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Next, we have consider approving the 2018 audited financial statements, and we will get a presentation from Mr. Mark Felger with Laporte.
Good morning, gentlemen. Also with me here is Mickey Simon, who's the senior manager on your audit. Okay, we went over this in detail. I'm going to try to go over it as briefly as we can this morning. These are the basic results of our audit. Each one of you were given Monday evening a copy of the audit report, copy of our agreed upon procedures report, and also a letter with required communications under auditing standards. We issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is the best type of opinion we can give. In the auditor's report, we also included a paragraph regarding the application or the adoption of a new accounting standard for your post-employment healthcare benefits, which we're going to discuss a little bit later. Okay. We also issued a report under government auditing standards regarding your internal controls over financial reporting and compliance with laws, regulations, contracts, and grants. That report showed no compliance findings and no deficiencies in internal control. There is no single audit report included because you did not expend more than $750,000 in federal funds during 2018. Some of the financial highlights included in the financial statements. The port's net position, or net equity, is $296.5 million, which is a 6.82% increase over 2017. Total operating revenues, these are revenues derived from tenants, either leases or sales to tenants. It includes sales of fuel at the airport and any other fees you collect from tenants, with $28.6 million, which was a 9.6% increase over 2017. You have total cash and investments currently of $104.7 million, which is a 4.7% increase over the previous year. Your operating profits, this is just the revenues derived from operation of seaport and airport facilities minus the expenses related to those operations. Operating profits were $5.4 million, which is an increase of 10% over the previous year. When we include governmental revenues, ad valorem taxes, and other non-operating expenditures, we had a $10.8 million, I guess you'd call it profit. We don't really have profit in governmental, but excess of revenues over expenditures, which was an increase of 16.5% from the previous year. In addition, you received 9.9 or roughly $10 million in capital grants and an additional $110,000 in various other state grants. Total revenues, 65% of your total revenues and other sources of funds came from fees generated from tenants at airport and seaport, 23% from capital construction grants, 8% from ad valorem taxes, 4% from other sources, which is primarily investment income. This chart shows the same information over a 6-year trend, and you can see the significant changes would be in the self-generated fees, which increased significantly, and also we had an increase in capital construction grants. Last year we had less than about $700,000 in capital construction grants. This year was nearly $10 million. This takes total revenues and shows the breakdown between airport and seaport revenues. The airport revenues have been growing slowly over time, and I think we've seen an increase in operations out of the airport as well. Your total operating expenses by various functions, the seaport expense increased significantly this year, primarily due to the feasibility study at, for the deep draft, or that's section 203, is that that's called? There was also an increase in expenses related to Fushan Island additional rent and also some additional maintenance on Fouchon Island. Showing the various uses of the funds, you can see 40% or nearly 40% was spent on capital construction, 12% on benefits, 11% on maintenance supplies and operation of facilities, 12% on lease expense to landowners, 20% on depreciation, 5% on all other expenses, and 1% on fuel, oil, and other items sold to tenants. Capital construction grants compared to construction expenditures. Last year, we expended $14.8 million on capital projects. Of that, approximately $10 million was funded by state or federal government grants. Almost all of that was state grants. Okay. Through my slides here. I'm behind on flipping pages. Okay. Just an update on 2 new accounting standards which have recently been adopted. GASB Statement Number 68 dealt with pensions, and a few years ago we were required to add a liability for the unfunded pension plan, your proportionate share of the unfunded liability for lasers and also for teachers' retirement where you have one employee that's employed. Your net proportionate share of that liability as of December 31st, 2018 was $7,670,000. Your total pension expense for the year was $389,000, but your contributions were $841,000. The difference between those two numbers represents the amount of additional funding required to close that unfunded liability gap. The net liability as of December 31st, 2017 was $7,910,000. Okay. For the year 2018, we also adopted a new accounting standard regarding post-employment benefits for health care for your retirees. It resulted in a restatement of your beginning net position and an increase in the liability recorded in the amount of $1,112,000. The total expense recorded on the books for your retirement health care expense was $263,000. The contributions were made, which would be the premiums paid for current retirees, were $105,000. And your ending liability is $4.5 million. The ending liability before the restatement in the prior year's financial statements was $3,744,000. Okay. We also issued a report on applying agreed-upon procedures as required by the legislative auditor. We had no significant findings to report. There were 2 minor items which were discussed with management, and management's response is included in your in your copy of the report. And we also had a letter of required communications under auditing standards, which we discussed in detail at the committee meeting. I'm not going to go into any detail on that now, but there were no significant findings or significant issues reported in that letter as well. And that concludes my presentation. Just like to say we appreciate the opportunity to provide auditing services to the Port Commission. And I want to thank the staff, Miranda and all of the accounting staff, and Chet, and the cooperation that we get here is really greatly appreciated, and the staff does a very, very good job. They're very conscientious and accountable, and I just want to commend you for having a good team in place. And I want to thank them personally for all the help that they give us during the audit.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. And the commission feels that way about our staff also.
Good.
Is Mickey gonna come up?
Just a couple of comments. Just to really echo what Mark said, I was involved in the field work, meaning out here with the team every day, and just from my observation, Everything was, went very smooth in the fact that when we requested things, they were provided timely and in order, which, reduced, there was little or no, back and forth about any of the items we were seeing. So it just went very smooth and wanted to communicate that to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Simon.
Thank you. Before you go to a vote, I just wanted to make mention, in the briefing that we just received, there was a line item that a lot of people get hung up on, and it's the fact that we have been very successful over the years, and we've done a good job in getting to be able to put $104 million and have that in cash. But if you recall our briefing that we received last week, not last week, but last month, from Davenport, that group that did a financial report for us, an analysis, we looked at over the next 15 or so years, we have about $370 million of expenditures that we need to make just for Fourchon Island and Slip D development, not to mention a potential commitment, very significant commitment, I would think, to the LA1 project. So we have a lot of expenditures coming in the very near future. So that $104 million is really good, and it looks really good, and it is. But we need a lot more. So I just wanted to make that clear, because when you look at $100 million in the bank, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And it is amazing. But we have a lot to do, and we have a lot we want to do, and a lot we need to do to move the port forward and to be what we know we can be for our community.
And in our list of projects, one of the projects Mr. Chasson didn't mention is the future of the airport corridor,
That's right.
along with a list of many, many things to do. But we are working hard and diligent to expand our future growth for our community and our economic involvement.
If I could just say one other thing. Just the fact that you have that much money is just an indication of the good stewardship that this board has provided to the Port Commission. Many other governmental entities could not hold on to that amount of cash without spending it on various things or on themselves. And I don't know of another board that would be able to just use the restraint that you guys use and say, we're going to use this money for projects that are necessary, and we're not just going to spend it because we have it.
Yeah.
So that's another credit to the board as well.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Appreciate that comment.
I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Director, to get a motion in place.
All right, need a motion. Moved by Mr. Jimmy Lafourche, second by Mr. Perry Jusclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next, we have on the agenda approving the 2019 January through April unaudited financial statements as discussed on Monday. And I'd like to make a motion, we accept these.
Moved by Mr. Mellison, second by Mr. Rodney Jusclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
And last, we have consider approving the out-of-state travel and training request. We have Director Chasson and General Counsel Bryce Autain attending the 203 study technical meetings with the Corps of Engineers in Washington, D.C. on July 1st, 2019. And I'd like to make a motion, we accept this request.
Moved by Mr. Mellison, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Mr. President, this concludes the financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Mellison. Next, we have any other business. Anybody? Mr. Bro, you had something.
Yes, I'd just like to remind everybody that the Golden Medal Fourchon International Tarpon Rodeo will be held in Fourchon, July 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's the 71st rodeo. The Port Commission does participate as a sponsor in it, and it's a good community activity. Bring the family and kids, air-conditioned tent, so it should be a good time that weekend. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bro. Any other business?
I'd like to give a shout out to the Cutoff Fishing Club for their rodeo they put on at Port Fourchon. It was very successful, and I hope we can get them to come back to our little section of the world.
All right. Any other business? Public comment? I would like to say something. I said, congratulate the staff for doing a well job. I know we just finished. They haven't talked, but we did the session in Baton Rouge, and We came out very good, so I commend Chad, our staff, everyone for doing the work that they did on that in Baton Rouge this year. And I'd also like to ask everyone to say a prayer for Mr. Larry Griffin. He's still going to be out for the next month or two, so please keep him in your prayers.
And I did, just to comment on that, I did speak to him this morning, and he is in good spirits, and he's accepting visitors, so.
Okay,
If you want to go visit him, do it.
all right.
On that note, Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Moved by Mr. Perry Gisclair, second by Mr. Chris Colley. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Thank y'all for attending our meeting, and thank y'all, this is y'all community, y'all come back for more. Thank you.
And Chet, we forgot to congratulate you, baby.